Welcome to the Don't Call Me Midlife podcast.
Hello. Hi, Nicole. How are you?
Hi, Alex. I'm good. How are you?
Good. What is in your cup today?
Oh, you know me. I like to double fist it. It's
What
the
are you
usual.
having today? Yeah. Okay.
It's tea. It's hot tea, but you know what? I'm trying to cut sugar. So I just put a little sprig of mint in there just to give it like a little flavor.
Ooh, I love that idea.
On my forever Stanley with ice cold water. I have a friend that makes fun of me for my Stanley, but you know what? If you like ice cold water, a Stanley is your best friend.
But question, do you put ice in it? Because I was putting ice in it last night and it tastes like a little better to me.
Yeah, I always put ice in there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We have talked about ice. I didn't know.
Yeah.
That's like a new trick that I have. I just thought I made up. Guess not.
No. All right, what's in your cup, Alex?
Girl, I got a lot in my cup today. I have a PTO meeting this afternoon. I have bring John to hockey. I have go get some groceries. I have to meet with my other son's teacher. I have a lot on my cup. And wait, You know what I just realized? In my cup today, there is nothing for me. There's nothing that I have.
Like it.
No.
Sounds like a cup of overwhelm. Yeah.
It sounds like a cup of overwhelm. I hear you. Speaking of having not a lot for me or you as a mom, I love this topic that we're going to talk today about. I think this episode could probably go for hours and hours, but the topic of the invisible workload that we as moms carry, the topic of the mental workload. When I was on my girls' trip, this was a topic that came up again and again. And it's not just in midlife. I think this topic first started, that I had learned about it when we were first moms. Do you agree?
Mm-hmm. Yes. And it's not something that you really hear about or think about before you have kids. At least I didn't. I know my sister-in-law who had kids, she was super busy. My friend who had her daughter, you can see it, but you see the busyness, but you don't know the invisible work or that mental load.
Yeah. And that invisible work, I think I saw that term maybe 5 years ago. And I was like, whoa, you hit the nail on the head with that. This invisible workload that when you become a mom, that it's almost like you're just expected to do, right? We are doing laundry. We are getting groceries. We're planning dinner. It's all of those things that we do to keep our families together that no one really sees, right? We do. It would be a mess if we didn't.
Yeah, I can see it in my friends now. But yeah, it's a lot. And it's a lot of mental organization, which may fall into the other category, but the captain of the ship, and it's a well-oiled machine. Not always, sometimes you got to put a little WD-40 in there, but
it's like a little grease, a little. Yeah, because we're the CEO of the houshousehold. So speaking of that, do you empower Jerry to help you out, your husband, in case people don't know? Or do you, tell me about that. Do you have him help you with this invisible workload, or what do you do there?
I don't always. Jerry works sometimes 100 hours a week. And on those weeks, I really I don't ask him, and he'll do what he can, or he'll say, what can I do? And a lot of times I'm like, don't even worry about it. And then he may have a week off, and then I'll continue to do it. And then I'll start to feel a little something inside bubbling up, maybe, a little resentment. Yeah. So over time, I've learned to just be like, hey, this morning, I was like, hey, can you take the kids to school today? He was off.
Yeah.
And he did. And I woke up and he had cleaned up the kitchen, made me coffee, put up my thyroid medicine. And it was really cute. That doesn't happen every day, but I have started asking him more. But honestly, I wish I would have asked him when the boys were younger, when it was
I love that tip that you just said. Ask them. We're different human beings, right? Men and women are different human beings. Sometimes we just think differently. I put things on my staircase when they need to go upstairs. My thought is, if you see it on the staircase, you should bring it upstairs. No,
basic.
My boys and Alex just walk up the stairs, and I'm like, do you think these are just here? It's crazy.
Is it here for you to take up later? Yeah. No.
And it's usually their crap.
Yeah, exactly.
It's usually that crap. You know what, Nicole? One of my best friends from college gave me advice when I was a new mom that said, don't criticize how your husband changes the diaper. And I feel like that is a metaphor for what we're talking about, because I know for me, I wish I empowered Alix earlier when my kids were younger, but honestly, I felt like I just wanted to control it and I wanted things done my way. So I
Same.
remember he's so sweet. Like he always wants to help. And I know it's not your way, but it's don't criticize for changing the diaper. Like we need to back off a little bit. They're going to have their way. Our kids are going to be alive. Everything's going to be fine, but we don't need to be criticizing just because it's not the exact way that we would do it. And I think that's a way to let this invisible workload like not build up a little bit.
Yes. I think that might fall into a little postpartum, like anxiety control type thing. But now that we're older and wiser.
Yes. Well, yes, we hope. Yes. And our husbands are older. Our kids are older.
Yes. We're definitely older. We can learn from our own past mistakes. And I don't know, I just feel way more comfortable asking for help. I didn't feel comfortable asking anybody for help when I was an early mom, but now I'm just like, hey, can you help? Can you do this? Can you do that? So
I think then we're happier too. I think the same way. I used to think it's a sign of weakness, right? Like I can do all of these things. And I think that's just, we've learned as we've gotten older, it's not possible. It is not possible to do all of this, to work, to take care of your kids, to make yourself happy, to take care of yourself and all this stuff. So I think asking for help is actually, I view now as a sign of strength.
Yes, 100%. Yes.
Go me, go us.
Yeah, go you. So you need to ask somebody for help today because you got a lot in your cup. If you can, if somebody's around to help you. Yeah.
I do have a lot in my cup. And speaking of switching to that mental workload, again, it's an invisible workload, right? We don't see this, but that mental workload, that mental stress, whatever you're feeling, whatever you want to call it. I think some days it's amazing that it can feel like almost an elephant is on your back. And then other times it can feel like whatever's lighter. I don't know.
Yeah.
But on those days that when it feels like this elephant is on your back, it's hard, right? It is very hard and challenging and stressful. And it can go lots of ways. Thinking of, I have experienced this recently. My oldest son went to boarding school. And I feel like you lose a little bit of the control when they're not in your house, right? And he went 4 years earlier than college. So I've had this sort of mental stress a lot more recently. When he calls me, I'm like, are you okay? And he's, yes, why? So you're wondering, are they showering? Are they eating properly? Are they going to their classes? I am stressing.
Are they making good choices for themselves?
Are they making good choices? Yes, that's always the question, Nicole. Who knows about that when I find all this candy in his backpack? Yeah. And so I think this concept of this mental load that we carry is heavier and heavier as our kids get older, right? We were just talking about what we would stress about when our kids were younger, and it was just different.
Yeah, like the calls from school. Did he hit someone? Did he not eat lunch? Did he poop his pants? Yeah, it's disruptive, but it's not life altering. Whereas if your son or daughter did something, bullied or sexting or whatever, that's life altering. Yeah. It's just the back of the mind stress that weighs heavy for sure.
That we're just worrying about them. And sometimes, to be honest, it's also like I have had to learn with Baker being at school that he may not be doing the things that, aside from keeping yourself, making good choices and doing all those type of self-care things, it's what is he doing in his free time? And I think as our kids get older, we put our judgment, and I think you should go to that Target run because they have these field trips or whatever. He doesn't want to do that. And that's like, chill. It's your kids as they get older. Do they want to have friends over or go to a different party or go to the football game? A lot of times I feel like we almost do this mental workload to ourselves and this stress because we're putting on some of our stuff on our kids, right? Does that happen to you, or is it just me?
No, it happens to me too. And my best friend's daughter is away at college this year, and I went and helped her move in, and I could see it unfold live. Like she wanted her daughter, they live out of state, and they were meeting girls, and she's, call her, set up. I'm sure her daughter knows to do that. But as a mom, it's just, it makes you feel like you're still doing your part, like making connections and making sure, hey, are you going to go to that day party or whatever? But yeah, I do it with my kids. Last week, I told my son, they're at a new school. So I'm trying to like get them to like be more active with their friends.
Right.
And we live a little bit far away. I'm like, hey, why don't on Saturday you invite some friends over, tell them to bring $5. You guys can do a pumpkin carving contest. And whoever, has the best pumpkin wins. And they're like, oh yeah, that'll be fun. I'm going to invite so-and-so. So it's just, I don't think my husband would think of something like that, but I want my friends to have these connections. So they'll have friends throughout their lifetime, throughout middle school, high school. So that is, yes. So in a nutshell, yes, I'm just like that too, Alex.
I love that idea. I do need to get some pumpkins and start carving.
I know.
And all my kids are very different. Some in social situations are different. Some want to be the life of the party. We got our middle kids. My oldest is he's a very loyal friend and wants a few close friends. And my third one, we haven't figured that out yet. He's just good. He's only in 5th grade. So I think it's just, but on the flip side of that, when we worry, and I've seen this with Baker, is when they do something like unexpected and you're like, yes, that's my kid. We have to, I think this age is also stressful, and because we're worrying about, have we done enough? I remember that was a lot of my stress when Baker went to school was, have I parented enough? I'm not stopping to be a parent, but have I done enough? Have I told him all the lessons? Have I done this? Because at some point, we got to let our kids fly, right?
Yeah. And Baker's how old? He's 15. He's a freshman.
15. And I tell my kids, I'm never going to stop being your mom, but it's a little bit less control. And I think that's part of our journey in midlife too, is it's been such a good lesson for me to let go of some things, which is just not that easy to do. Not that easy to do. I'm sure my other two are like feeling it, but
yeah, I'm sure they are. But I recently was listening to someone on Instagram, and he's a life coach for teens. And he said that there's a shift. That, what did he say the first part was when they're younger? Not that you're parenting. Maybe he said parenting. You're always parenting, but he used a different term. But you go from that to coaching. As your kids get older, you're more of a coach, like a cheerleader. You're not really telling them what to do or giving them advice. You're trying to help them seek out their own thing. And it's, to me, that kind of falls into the mental load, because there's like a shift in psychology. So you just have to like always learn and evolve. And that to me weighs heavy on my mental load. And I don't know hard. And that my husband does that.
That goes also into the topic. I agree with about the husband thing, because Alex is like sleeping and I'm sitting there like up making a list in my head of all the things I have to do. I'm very envious of his better sleep than me. But also we're in this stage also, like you said, of becoming a coach and being neutral and allowing them to make their own choices. But also, how do you feel about them also making mistakes, right? I feel like there are so many moms out there that are more like the helicopter mom, even at this age, where they think their kids are perfect and they're never going to do anything wrong. But I think... No, we have to be also realistic about our middle schoolers, our high schoolers. Our kids are perfect in our eyes, of course, but it doesn't mean that they're not going to make mistakes. And you almost want them to make a mistake, not a huge one, but so that they can grow and they can learn from it, and that you can have that conversation of how to learn from that, because we've made mistakes in our life at that age too. And I think that's a different, like you're saying, we become a coach. It's a different mindset for us as moms. I don't know. I guess I didn't anticipate. I didn't ever anticipate being a midlife mom. So I don't know what to expect.
This has been a whole wild journey, but I want my kids to make mistakes. There are some mistakes that I will stop before they happen.
Yes. Dangerous situations and totally.
Pictures on the internet, things like that. I had a girl ask my oldest for shirtless pictures. So we had to have a conversation on something a lot deeper. But I just want to preemptively stop any sort of issue with that. But we'll start with schoolwork being like a mistake, and I'll let them make a mistake, and then you don't turn in your work, you don't get X, Y, and Z. There's like natural consequences that I feel that the boys need to learn. But then there's some things that, I don't know, my biggest life lessons were the mistakes I made. But I do tell them, like, you're going to make mistakes, but your dad and I will always be here to help you figure anything out. We're your safety net. But if one of my kids ends up in jail overnight for doing something stupid, you're going to spend the night in jail to learn. I'm not going to come bail you out within 5 minutes. You know what I'm saying?
No, and I think that's important in this way, this age of parenting, where you brought up something that I think about a lot, is that trust.
Mhm.
We have to have that communication. And I talk a lot about with my family, like the circle of trust, right? There's certain things that we discuss in our family that doesn't go outside the family.
Yes.
And I try to tell my kids, if you're in a situation where you need someone to pick you up, please call a trusted adult, even if it's not me. You will not get in trouble in the situation, but maybe later. But
we'll discuss it later, but get yourself out of that.
We'll discuss it
Terrible.
later. That was always the worst when my mom said that. I did not.
Yeah.
Or she was like, or my dad was like, I'm disappointed in you. That's the worst.
I know. Oh, my heart.
I've said that one time, and they're like looking at me like, whoa, that was like hit hard. That's like a little.
Yeah.
But I think it's allowing those mistakes, but also having that communication, right? That open communication, and these bigger topics that maybe always aren't, especially because we have boys, as comfortable. A lot of times my kids will be like, just please stop talking. Just please stop talking.
Yes.
I'm like, no, I'm not going to stop talking. And you know what we are talking about.
Yeah.
And
that's so funny. My kids will get like that too, but sometimes they're way more open. And usually it's when we're driving.
Yes.
I don't know if
talk in the car, especially to boys, and listen to everything.
Yes. And drive at night. That way, like, you can't see anybody's facial expression. And you can be like, oh my God, did he really just ask me that?
Yeah. But it's fun to hear them too, because then you're like, I'm proud of you. Like, you are like such a good human being. And I love all this stress is worth it, because you see them embrace the world around them and become someone totally different than you or your husband. And each of our boys are so different, or whether you have 3 girls or whether you have boys and girls, like becoming who they are is like such a gift as a mom.
Yes.
I know
that's so fun to watch.
Yes, it is.
So it does make the mental load worth it, and the invisible work that
makes it. Yeah, I feel like it's definitely worth it. The other thing about the mental workload is like and you sent me this as a meme on Instagram, was going to the doctor.
Oh, yes. It's normally like a 1-hour appointment at best, but in your mind, you're talking like the hour before, the hour of, the hour after, and maybe like an hour, a couple of days beforehand to get all that paperwork done, right?
And then what if your kid takes medicine and you got to send the nurse form, or you got to go pick up the medicine, then you got to make the chart for the medicine. Or I think about this sort of mental load a lot in terms of signing kids up for sports. Okay. It's not just signing them up for the sport. It's the uniform. It's putting the schedule and the time. It's making sure that we can actually get there. It's making sure we have dinner. Where are my other kids? It's that mental load of that one small task in our mind turns into 10. And those are legit tasks. When you say the other 10 are like, they're legit.
Oh yeah. They're in-depth, legit. Like,
they're all legit.
Check them up. Yes. I think the spring sports, I think, are the worst. Like the baseball.
What do your kids play? Oh yeah. That's
hockey,
a long game.
I mean, hockey, it's a long game, but not only that, you have it like a couple times a week, right? Like at least 2 games a week, right? And then if you have a couple kids in it, you're there every day. And then it's so long, and it's hard to juggle the dinner and the baths. And I don't have to deal with that now. But there are some ladies in midlife that have little ones that are dealing with it.
But they do need to bathe themselves. Unlike, and we know those showers are long, right, Nicole?
My water bill has never been so high.
Yeah, when you got teenagers. And I think I've got John playing baseball, and I actually said to my husband last night, so fall baseball, I was like, so when is this over? My husband loves baseball, so I love that John loves it, and it's really like their thing to go. I rarely go because I'm here. But yeah, all these activities, all these sports, my kids did like hip hop dance when they were little, and it was like the recital at the end of June, had to invite all the family and all of that. So there is like a huge mental load that goes into all of this. And but
we see you, ladies. We feel you.
We see you.
You may be driving to travel baseball in another state, listening to us, being like, yes.
Yeah, I get you. You know what?
I'm a snack bitch. Yes.
You're so funny, because I was actually talking to one of my best friends from college, and she's telling me her daughter's a really good softball player, and she works full time, and she's working like 70 hours in her job. And every weekend, you know what she does?
She travels.
She goes to travel softball and plays like 3 games. And
Oh,
we
yeah.
were having this conversation, like, it's worth it. I know she loves it. And also, how can you use your time a little wisely at some of these sports games, right? Maybe not just scroll on Instagram, but walking. You can't watch your kid the whole time, but taking a walk and doing some of those things. But there is a lot that we do for our kids, but we, like Nicole said, we see you, we hear you, we are in it with you, we are in the trenches. But at the end of the day, it's hold on to those like memories where your kid just freaking surprises you. It makes me cry. Like they do something so amazing, and you're like,
it's her first tear shed, ladies and gentlemen.
Like you're like, that's my kid. I'm gonna hold on to that when he does something bad.
Yes, 100%, 100%.
Hold on to that. Hold on to that.
Yeah.
So just remember that when you are going through the trenches, ladies, that it's all worth it, and hold on to those good times. Hold on to those little wins. So my advice, Nicole, today, that was an awesome episode. I could probably talk about that forever, but we had to stop my crying. My advice is when you've got a big mental load, and I am dealing this week with Baker having ACL surgery, and you've done a lot. You have had this mental load, this mental stress of caring for someone. And it can be any sort of situation. Is what? Get yourself a treat. Get yourself a treat. Because you know what I did today?
What did you do?
I went and got a manicure. I copied your color, and I got a little sweet treat from Starbucks. I got an apple.
What'd you get?
It's called oat milk latte apple macchiato, but I changed it to almond milk and only got 1 pump of the brown sugar syrup. If you like that type of drink, definitely get it. And I had no cinnamon, or there was like a cinnamon sugar topping on top, but I just got cinnamon. So get yourself a little treat. Like you deserve it when you have this mental load. And sometimes you just need a half an hour break to go get a Starbucks, get a manicure, whatever is your jam that is going, and then you come back stronger and you're like ready to attack the day.
I love that, Alix. Little self-care. Yeah.
Self-care.
Self-care. Yeah. Whatever. Yes. And I'm going to have to get that drink. Yes. Just remember, you can't be 100%. You can't be everything to everyone. And you just need to decide what your priority is. So set that time aside for you. Alix said, get her favorite drink, stay sane, call a friend, whatever you need to do, and just find joy in it.
Yeah. But know you're appreciated with all that invisible work, right?
Yes. Yes.
All right.
I appreciate you.
Bye.
Bye.